Good morning, folks, and welcome to On Blast with MG. MG here, and today we're going to do a full review on the Coleman two-burner dual fuel stoves that we have in front of us today. Give you guys a full lowdown on how they work, why they're the best in my opinion, how to care for them, what kind of fuel they use, and a bunch of other stuff. So hang tight, we're going to get started right now. So first off, right in front of us, we have the Coleman 413G model. Usually on these Coleman stoves, you'll find the model stamped right on the front on the front left of them. And it's usually the Coleman, the model number 413G, and where it's made, Wichita, Kansas, and it's made in the USA. Now, this particular stove doesn't have a stamped date when it was made on it because it's older. This particular stove was made in 1965 or 1965 through 1969. So that's way before I was even born. Yet this puppy runs like a top and it's perfect. I mean, aside from, wear and tear, rust a little bit and, just dings and knacks, it runs perfect. So think about that just for a second. 1965 made, 2022 still running. Can you think of anything in today's day and age that you can buy almost 40, 50 years ago and you could still, use it just like it was when it was new? I don't think so. Or it would be very hard. So let me show you on the other stove. This is how you find a date on the Coleman. This particular, the 413G, does not have a date stamp, but you could look it up online. The 413G model was made between 1965 and 1969. This particular model is the Coleman 425E. And if you lift it over like that, usually on the bottom, there'll be a stamped date on it. And in this case, it's made in October of 78. So this guy is also quite old, almost over 30 years old. So, they're still working just perfect. This one's actually much better shape. So where do you get these? Well, you can get these online right now, Amazon, Walmart, Cabela's, whatever you shop, for roughly, depending on size, between $150 to $250. And you got a gallon of fuel right there that you could also get with it. Now, the nice thing about these stoves, they run on dual fuel. So they run on this camp fuel that's made by Coleman, which I would say is the preferred fuel because it's designed specifically for these stoves. It'll keep them running like in top shape. They won't leave deposits like other fuels will, and it will keep your stove running in top shape. But if this is not available, let's say you're stuck in the wilderness, you run out of your camp fuel, you could use unleaded gasoline to run these stoves. Unleaded gasoline from your car. So just go to your car, siphon some gas, get your stove going, and cook yourself a meal or get warmed up. So in an emergency, or in really if you need in a zombie apocalypse, let's say, you could cook, you could get warmth, you could do all kinds of things just with unleaded gasoline or the camp fuel. So it's really nice. Now these guys are not light. This is about 10 pounds of weight. So going backpacking, I don't see this as a real good option unless you're wanting to get a workout. This one's a little bit less, maybe like 7.5, 8 pounds, but they are quite hefty for lugging around on a backpacking trip. So now here's the bright side. Coleman does make a one burner stove. I don't have one here, but you could look it up. And it is obviously much lighter, just comes with the reservoir, just like a normal propane stove would, and one burner on top. And it works in the same manner as this by pumping it, and it probably would work just as well as this. That's what I would get if I were going on a backpacking trip. I wouldn't mess around with the propane stuff just because it's not as reliable. So let me give you guys an idea of dimensions on this big stove, the 413G. Now this one is about 22 inches long by, let's see here, 22 inches long by about 6 inches high, 6.5 inches high. So it's a pretty sizable stove. This other, the 425E, is 18 inches long and about 5.5 inches tall. So they're not small items to carry around and have with you. However, no stove is really that small, and if you're going camping, you want some surface cooking area for your family. So these are actually pretty good. I like this 413G because it's much larger. It's got a much larger cooking area. But if you have a smaller family and you don't need to make as much, you could go with a smaller size stove for yourself. Okay. Now these guys are made entirely of metal, which is a plus and a negative drawback. Obviously the positive, they're tough. You could bang them, you could hit them around. They'll take a beating pretty good. You could just throw them in the back of your truck and go camping. The drawback to these, they do tend to start rusting. So that you can maintain on a regular, if you maintain them on a regular basis, spray them with WD-40, which I do on mine. This one, when I bought it, it came like this. It came kind of a little bit rusted, but I do maintain it now. You could even get rid of the rust if you have some time. And if you maintain them, they'll last you forever. I mean, this one, clearly, it's over 45 years old and still works perfect. Doesn't look as pretty as the one that's, only 30 years old, but it still runs really, really well. So I'd recommend, regularly wiping it down with some WD-40 to keep it in tip-top shape. Now, let's open one up and kind of give you guys a look and see what it looks like inside. So this is how the stove comes, kind of like a nice little briefcase type. You could carry it by the handle, just like a briefcase, and throw it in the back of your truck, and off you go. And when you get to the campsite, you're gonna pop it open, just like the briefcase, the latch. You're gonna open it up, and inside, you're gonna have several things. You're gonna have your wings, your wind blocking flaps that come out just like that. And these little guys, they fit into this slot on the side, and they're adjustable to hold it in place. So you're setting up your wind blocks here. All right. Next, what you want to do is you're gonna put your burner up, and then you're gonna grab your fuel canister from the inside of the stove, just like that. You're gonna lift it up, and this is what it looks like when you get it out. Okay, so this is where you place your fuel. It's got a nice little valve right here. You open it up, and you can put unleaded gasoline or the Coleman's camp fuel in there to get started. And seal it up. Make sure it's a nice seal. What I sometimes do is I look in here. There's a rubber gasket, and this on a regular basis needs to be replaced. Easy to find. Go to Coleman's website or Amazon, and you want to make sure you get these things replaced regularly because they do tend to kind of break down their rubber. All right, make sure this is in the up position. Got your fuel in there, and you're going to take your fuel canister. You're going to insert it through the small hole. Oh, before I do that, let me show you this. This is where the pressure, when you're going to pump this, the pressure inside this is going to atomize the fuel, whether it's unleaded gasoline or the Coleman Y fuel. It's going to spit it through this tube and out the end right here, which you'll see a little needle. It's kind of hard to see, but this is the one you want to keep clean. On a regular basis, what I do is I take some brake cleaner, I clean this area out. I also clean this tube that goes inside here with kind of like, what I clean mine with is the brush that comes with a gun cleaning kit. So that's really all you have to do to maintain these guys. You make sure that these aren't gummed up, and make sure that tube right there is also kept clean. Other than that, they are pretty much maintenance free, just cleaning them and putting some WD-40 on them just to keep the rust at bay. All right, so we're gonna stick this guy in here just like that, right into the hole, and then these hook into these latches right there. All right, there you go. Perfect. and then you're in business. This is what a setup stove looks like. Okay, so before you actually start pumping it and lighting it up, you want to have that up, and it's usually, you know, really easy. Coleman makes it really easy. They're all either stamped or have a really nice sticker on them that says you need to have lever must be turned up to light. After 1 minute of burn, turn down. So after 1 minute, you're gonna turn it down and you're gonna let it burn normally, okay? So what do you do next? All right, so to light this bad boy, it's pretty simple. You got your pump right here. The pump itself has a hole, which you need to cover. And also, you need to be aware of one other thing. So cover the hole when you're pumping, just like this. But also, when you're done pumping, you're gonna be all the way into the down position. And this is kind of where a little skill comes in. As you're pumping, you need to close this up. When you get down to the last pump, you need to turn this until it stops while you keep the hole covered. And that's to, you know, maintain the pressure. Because if you take your thumb off of this, some of the pressure is gonna escape. So to lock it, and it says right there it says turn that way to close. So as you're doing your last pump, cover with your thumb covered, you're gonna turn it like that and lock it into place. So to light this bad boy, you're gonna need to basically undo this if it was locked, just a little bit. You don't want to undo it too much. You're going to cover the hand and you're gonna pump. I usually do you're gonna cover that little hole, you're gonna pump about 40 times, okay? I usually go about 40 to 50 times on the pump to get enough pressure built up in here. Now remember, as you're pumping this, you could always return to it and pump some more. Even while you're cooking, just make sure you're holding this down nicely so it doesn't, you know, move your cooking stuff. But you could pump it some more to top it off. I'm just gonna pump it a few times. As I'm keeping my thumb over the hole, I'm gonna turn it to the right and kind of lock it in place so we don't lose any of the pressure. And then take your finger off there and you're good to go. All right, so make sure this is turned in the upward position. And you're going to, this is your burner this is your burner control right here. So you're gonna turn it to the left and you're gonna turn it on until you hear this hissing. You can hear the hissing. You hear the hissing, you know you're ready to light it. So you go ahead and light the burner. It lights up. You could adjust the flame there just a little bit. I would leave it, you know, kind of in a medium position and let it burn for 1 minute. After 1 minute, you're gonna turn this lever down and then you're gonna adjust your flame and you could start cooking. Now, if you need to cook two things at the same time, because this is a 2-burner stove, making about 17,000 BTUs, which is a pretty good amount, you have the second burner. The way you operate the second burner is on the left side of the stove, you have a burner adjustment for the second burner. So all the way to the right, it's in the locked off position. If you turn it to the left, it turns on the burner on the second. It turns on the second burner. It unlocks little access door here, and the gas will get to the second burner, which you could then light just as you did the first one and adjust the flame by the left side here. So on this particular stove, which I like a lot, the 413G, it's much larger than the 425E as far as surface area is concerned. So you could really do a lot of cooking. I have my cast iron stove on this and I got my coffee going on that. So I got coffee going, I got eggs and bacon going on the other side. So it's much easier to do it on this little bigger one, although it weighs a little bit more and it's a little bit more bulky. I think it's worth to have the space, especially when you're camping out with your family. Now, if you're going out by yourself, you know, maybe you know, you don't want to carry as much weight and bulkiness. You could go with something a little bit smaller, like for the 425E. All right, so let's open the 425E, give you guys a look at it too. Same idea, unlatch it, open it up. You know, this particular stove is, like I said, made in 78, so it's almost 30, all over 30 years old, and it still looks brand new. doesn't look like it's been used that much. I'll give you guys a hint. Yes, they are $200. 150 to $200 if you're buying them from Cabela or Amazon or Walmart. But what I've been doing, and it's been working for me really, really well. I'm so sorry. I've been going to these, either estate sales or maybe some stores that sell old equipment, thrift stores, and I've been finding these. This particular one I pay $10 for. This one I just found on Craigslist, which is another place you could find things, and I paid about $25 for it. So here's the thing: you could go ahead and buy yourself a brand new one and go with it, and you'll have it probably for the rest of your life and the rest of your kids' life. Or you could go buy one of these older ones for $10 at a thrift store, Craigslist, or anywhere else. You can find them, estate sales, and they will still work. Maybe they might need a little bit of adjustment, a little bit of cleaning, and I'll show you how to do that. They'll run for the rest of your life. There's nothing really to break on these. So let me show you guys, now that we're at this point, I'm going to show you guys how easy it is to maintain these. I've showed you how to maintain this. I usually I maintain the tube, I clean the tube, I clean this part that carries the fuel to the burner, and I do that all with my gun cleaning kit and a little brake cleaner as well. So gun cleaning kit, I'll clean the tube inside. I'll put the brush down there and kind of wipe down that area as well. I just basically keep everything maintained. Same thing with this one. They're all the same. That's the nice thing about them. They're all made exactly the same. This is the tube. The atomized fuel gets released through here, and it goes into this area, which releases it into the burner. So it's a very simple machine. The other thing that needs maintenance every now and again is the pump. So the pump itself, it's metal, and it's actually made out of brass. Let's see the newer ones, still made out of brass. Not sure the new ones are made out of brass, but anyways, there is a little leather pump in here. So I'll show you kind of how it looks. You could go on Amazon and you could buy these replacement sleeves for your pump. Basically, they come with the original spring clip, and then the metal plate that holds back the pump plunge, which is made out of leather. So this right here is the metal strip that holds back the leather seal. This is what seals the shaft when you pump in and you're pumping in the pressure, and this is the backing to that. So it's a pretty simple 3-part thing that's easily replaceable. So make sure you do buy one of these replace pump cup and backup plate replacement from Coleman. You could find them on Amazon. You could go to Coleman's website and you could get some of these. I always want to have at least 1 or 2 in my kit, just in case. They do start to wear out. Even when they do wear out, they still work to create pressure in your reservoir, but it's much less effective. But it will still work. That's the key right there. There is an oil spout right here where you could add a drop or 2 of oil every now and again to keep this all nice and lubed up. There is a little pin here that you could just grab with a pair of pliers. You could lift this pin out, and that releases the cap on that, and you can take the whole plunger setup out and replace it with a new pump cup and backup plate if you need to. So it's very easy, just removing this little pin and taking out the plunger, and then undoing the little backup metal plate here and replacing it. So it's all very easy to do, all very easy to replace, which is, again, another real important part in having any camping equipment. You don't want to sit around and be fixing this stuff, or with electronics, good luck with fixing electronics when you're out camping. So this is all just really easily repairable and even MacGyvered if you need to. One other thing I'd recommend you have as a backup, or actually just to make your life so much easier, go buy a funnel. This particular one has a little filter, a little air tube right there. Just buy a funnel. It'd be so much easier to refill your stove right through there, than pouring the fuel through that spout. it's just not very clean. So get a funnel. It really works. You know, a couple bucks. One more thing that I usually have, and I don't have one here to show you, but I'll kind of symbolize it with a piece of paper, is buy a griddle. If you're gonna go out to, you know, camping, you know, you could use both of these burners. You can have both of these burners on, and you could use a griddle to make everything. So I just usually get a griddle, Amazon right there, and just stick it on top, and then put, you know, get my eggs, get my bacon, you know, put the coffee in the corner to keep it warm. But a griddle really works well. You know, it obviously adds a lot more weight, but you're not taking the stove, you know, usually backpacking. So, you know, a griddle is perfect for this. Get a griddle from Amazon, place it right on top, and you're good to go. You basically have, you know, you have like a restaurant kitchen going on. So in the end, ladies and gentlemen, you know, there's so many advantages to having a stove like this, something that's been around for, you know, 100 years, and it still works. You know, like I said, this one right here, the 413G, this particular stove, this model has been around since 1965. This one has been here since before I was born, and it still works like the day it was built, and just needs a couple of things. You know, the fuel's cheap. That fuel right there, you know, the can's costing me maybe less than 10 bucks for a gallon, you know, and you could literally, you know, burn this on high for 2 hours, you know, on your initial 40-50 pumps, and you still have, you know, half of your full fuel. You could use an alternative fuel such as unleaded gasoline. You have very good flame control right here. You know, it's really well adjusted. It's great for emergency preparedness, and it works well in all extreme environments. I went camping this weekend, and it was about 12 degrees, and I used actually the small one, but it worked perfect. Just lit up on the first try, no problems, and it just ran really well. So thank you for watching. If you have any questions, shoot them down in the comments, and please subscribe, and I hope you enjoyed the video.